not too long ago, I was approached by two students that were doing a paper about cultural, please help me out. I can never say this word. Cultural competency. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You would think that after being here for 21 years, I have my English down. Sometimes it does not happen.
English doesn't make any sense usually. True. There's of all the languages, English makes the least amount of sense.
So they were asking all these questions, and I stopped them and I say, because basically when you say I'm cultural competence, that means that I took this class about what it is to be Latino and I'm competent about it, right? Like I know all these things about it. I'm competent. I know my stuff. So I stopped them and they were psychology majors, but I stopped them and I say, have you heard the term cultural humility? And they had no idea. So I told them that basically is replacing competency to, feeling humble about something you don't know. So it's assuming you don't know. And with that assumption in place, asking questions about it. Because the reality is that I can speak to another person from Venezuela, from my hometown, and we can have extremely different views about what it is to be Latinos, what it is to be an immigrant, right? So coming from that background, I think it's absolutely necessary, especially when you're doing therapy, not making any assumptions at all. So I invite them to look into it. I send them a little video, but I feel that we have to keep making this little or not so little replacements, right? And changes.
And I love that you come back to humility because it is laying down the ego and not assuming we know or can marginalize or identify with an entire community of people that, again, even within that, to white Americans, to Latino Americans, to Black Americans, whatever it is, everybody's had their own experience. And I think approaching another person with humility and asking questions and not being afraid to ask, it says a lot about the person who's asking the questions. Like if you're willing to set your ego aside and say, hey, I don't know, but I want to be respectful, help me out here, versus someone, especially, a white person that shows up and thinks they know everything about an entire community or another person or what they've experienced. I think it's better to show up and be humble and ask the questions and teach our children to ask the questions and not assume what people are comfortable with, whether it's gender or race or culture or whatever experience you might be encountering.
100%. I don't know if I've told you that my sisters are triplets. So I'm the oldest of four. And my sisters are triplets. They're 5 years younger than me. And, I think that's been one of my biggest life lessons because obviously they came from the same person, we're all have the same parents. We were all raised the same way and they're so different. And they were like, so it's one of those examples of, you cannot make assumptions. You cannot assume that just because they were born 1 minute apart, just because they had the same parents, just because they were raised in the same way, they have similar views. They have no. So when I see that with my sisters, it makes it easier, right? Like it's like such a big and close example to me of how different each person is. And I say with my daughters too, they could not be more different, right? So absolutely. But I think it's important to remember that because we easily forget it along the way.